Hi, and welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing, hosted by Jim and Jim. I'm Jim.
And I'm Jim.
And we're here to talk about racing. It's going to start off with a little recap. There's a big week in sprint car racing at Eldora. Kyle Larson won the $100,000 high limits race, and Anthony Macri won the $200,000 to win Kings Royal. As with most big money races, there's big crashes also, with Caleb Henry, Tyler Courtney, Aaron Reitzel, and Brad Sweet all needing hospital visits. Speedy recovery wishes to everyone who was hurt last week.
A quick note from MotoGP. They were in the Czech Republic, and Marc Marquez got his 8th win of the season. Not really a surprise at this point. He's got a 120-point lead over his brother Alex in the championship.
So can he sit out the rest of the season yet?
No, they just passed halfway. I think it's a
okay.
24-race season, just like F1.
All right. Moving on to the Xfinity Series at Dover. Taylor Gray took pole position and the lead, led every lap and winning the caution-free Stage 1. Then they had a horrible pit stop. They dropped the car on the air line for one of the impact wrenches. Came in first, came out 15th. Brandon Jones won the race out of the pits, but that didn't matter because Connor Zilic grabbed the lead immediately and led every lap to win the caution-free second stage. This is how racing should be, no cautions.
Yeah, Connor Zilic in the lead.
Zilic won the pit road race, or the race off pit road, depending on how you want to say it, and led every lap of the third stage until the rain came on lap 132. They tried to wait it out. About an hour of waiting, NASCAR finally pulled the plug, called it an official race, and Connor Zilic got his first oval win. So now he's got a road course win, and a triangle win, and now an oval win.
That was actually his 4th win of the season. He's won 2 of those road courses. And he's up to 2nd in the championship, even with missing that race due to injury.
Crazy.
It's a pretty good rookie year, I'd say.
You know, he was going to be my pick until you picked him.
And you know, I picked him like 4 years ago, so
Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty good at scouting that young talent. If any teams want to hire me, you know, to go watch go-kart racing or Miatas or
No,
anything.
we didn't know about him until the Miata race. Yeah.
Moving on to IndyCar, they were on the streets of Toronto, was it?
Yes. Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Well,
I don't
it's
know
all
why I
Canadian
said all of
words,
that.
but-
That was 3 Canadian things all in one sentence.
Anyways, it was American Colton Herta on pole position. Santino Ferrucci did not start. He crashed in the warm-up, and they weren't able to get the car fixed, or was he not medically cleared?
They were not able to get the car fixed in time.
Okay. So, got to keep it clean on that warm-up.
Yeah. It's like wrecking in hot laps. You just don't do it.
The soft tires were not the play this week. Everybody wanted to get off those as soon as possible. Pato Award led a few others to pit after 2 laps to get rid of those soft tires. It's always interesting with the strategy because you never know if they're going to be good or not until you start the race.
Yeah, it's always funny because sometimes guys will run like 25 laps on them, and other times, I remember there was a couple races ago, second lap, boom, Newgarden was in the pits. Like, these are junk, I'm done.
So the field was split about in half of who had started on the softs versus the hards. I think it was actually 13 and 13 with Ferrucci's did not start. So it was very even. It was going to be interesting to see which strategy was best. But Scott McLaughlin, he pitted some more Penske bad luck, you know, not executing when it really matters. The team didn't get the left rear on. It fell off. He crashed, and there was a caution.
That's 1 Penske down. 1, ha ha ha.
Yes, we've got to keep the count. They were actually showing statistics during the race of how many Penske DNFs there have been this year.
That was bad.
So Alex Palou was in the lead by the time this happened.
Never. Alex Palou leading our Indy race.
So he led him to the green, and it was Pato Award leading the alternate strategy, trying to make his way through the field. Palou was trying to stretch the lead he had over Pato. He was like 21, 22 seconds with Pato down in 13th or 14th. And he was trying to get a pit stop gap because he and a couple other guys were going to try for a 2-stopper. everyone else was going to be on a 3-stop. And we've seen that fuel strategy play out earlier this year. He was looking to do it again. Those Ganassi cars seem to like their fuel strategy games.
It's the Hondas, man.
Yeah.
Those Hondas get better gas mileage than the Chevys.
Anyways, that strategy, it didn't really work for him. Christian Rasmussen, he made contact. I think Will Power drove into him, and he spun, got a flat tire. His power came from, I think it was an optimistic move. He came from too far back and just drove right through him. So I didn't like that move from the veteran Penske driver. Rasmussen didn't either, I don't think.
I don't think.
No. At this point, it looked like Palou and the 2-stop strategy was going to work because that was a good caution for him to save some fuel. But then Alexander Rossi got a flat tire. He hit the wall. I think it was on his outlap. Anyway, it was all him. It was just a skill issue. He ran into a wall, which you can't do that, especially in open wheel cars. And there's a caution for debris. I just had a note here. One of the announcers said it was total destruction, and that reminded us of a classic video game we used to play in my childhood, Destruction Derby 2 on the PlayStation.
Yeah. Your engine's blown.
Anyways, it was pretty funny. Not for Alexander Rossi, though, because he was the debris caution. At this point, the entire field pits except for Alex Palou. Kyle Kirkwood got spun by Marcus Armstrong in the pit lane, which that's not a good look, spinning someone in the pit lane under caution.
That was a hard one because Kirkwood had that first pit stall where it was still on the curve. So I could see misjudgment, not at this level, but if you were in Indy Lights or Miatas or, well, they don't pit, but something at a lower level, I could see it happening. But yeah.
On the restart, Will Power got into the wall, but he kept it going. But then there was a big crash. Jacob Abel, because of everyone pitting, he was out of position, and by that I mean not in last. And it sounds mean, but he shouldn't have moved up from Indy Lights.
You're being honest today.
But nothing against him. He just wasn't ready to move up. I'm sure a sponsor gave a bunch of money for him to move up, but he just isn't ready, and I don't think it's fair to him or fair to anyone else who deserves the seat to have him in the car. But I'm not the team owner, so he is in the car.
Don't volunteer to be a team owner.
No.
We don't have that kind of money.
But so Jacob Abel, he was pretty slow, and he was kind of moving over to let Louis Foster pass him. And Foster clipped his right front and started a big crash. Abel went into the wall, and then he got on top of Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden, there wasn't anything he could do. There was no time to react. He wanted to keep going afterwards, but they made him get in the ambulance.
Yeah, he didn't want to get out of the car at first, and they made him get out of the car, and then he just stood there by the fence. He wasn't getting in the ambulance until they kind of physically put him in the ambulance.
Let's see, there were a couple other cars that got collected. I think they kept going. It was kind of a roadblock there, so another caution right away.
How about Penske car number 2?
Yes. So
it's just horrible.
At that point, the stat flashed that it was 33% of Penske's starts this year have ended in a retirement, and so on average, one of their cars does not finish the race every time.
It's just horrible. I don't know what's going wrong there. I'm a
Everything.
huge Penske fan.
It would be easier to say what's going right, because it's not a lot for them. Not a good year for Penske. Rinus VeeKay was in the lead at this point. He pitted from the lead on lap 57, and that put Pato in a position to do the overcut, because Pato was up to second at that point. So he pitted one lap later, and he came out of the pits just ahead of VeeKay. And that looked like it was going to be the move for the win, because all the cautions, they had really messed up the strategy for Palou, let everybody catch up to him. So it was like he had to make an extra pit stop when he was really saving one. So it was a good strategy. Just the circumstances didn't fall their way. And that happens sometimes with strategy. That's what makes it fun.
Doesn't happen very often to Alex Palou, though.
No, it's one of the few not shiny spots of the year for him. Anyways, Pato led the rest of the way with 3 laps to go. Nolan Siegel and Felix Rosenquist, they crashed. Rosenquist got loose. He got into the wall, and Siegel didn't really have anywhere to go and drove into him. And so the race ended under caution, and Pato got his 2nd win of the year. Rinus VeeKay ended up 2nd, and Kiffin Simpson with his 1st career podium. And so Alex Palou in the championship still leads by 99 points over Pato with 4 races to go. Kyle Kirkwood and Scott Dixon are mathematically in it, but they would need a miracle. Pato has a chance, even though it's pretty small. There's a couple ovals coming up, and he's good at those. So if Palou struggles, he could sneak back into this championship.
Now, didn't you figure it out what he had to do to win?
Yeah, so all Palou has to do is finish 5th every race, and then it doesn't matter what Pato does. Pato can win out to lead the most laps, get pole position for maximum points, and Palou needs to finish 5th. However, if Palou has a DNF or he's outside the top 10 at the ovals, he would need to finish 2nd or 3rd. So Pato's kind of slowly sneaking up there. I did a little research today, and Pato is the only driver in the field who has completed every lap this year. So that's something he's got going for him. That consistency, not wrecking, that's going to be important.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You got to finish. To finish first, you first must finish, some wise man probably said at some point. And I just want to say good job, Rinus VeeKay. He wasn't even supposed to be racing in Indy this year, and he's having a good season. Next we go to the Cup race at Dover. Just a little note, a judge ruled Friday against 2311 and Front Row Motorsports' lawsuit, so they were competing as open cars this week. The judge said that if there was a chance that the cars would not make the race because they didn't qualify in, if there were more than 40 cars coming, that he would revisit his decision. But that wasn't the case, as it usually isn't. And so they were running as open cars. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because as open cars, they only get like 1/3 of the pay that they normally would. So I heard something about NASCAR maybe suing them to get all the money back that they've paid them so far this season as a charter, since they are not a charter as per this judge. So we'll see. There was no practice or qualifying. It was rained out, so there'd be a competition caution on lap 35. Chase Elliott was awarded pole position, but Chase Briscoe grabbed the early lead. The first 15 laps before Chase Elliott figured it out and got past him, with Elliott leading until the competition caution. Elliott led the restart and won the caution-free first stage. Man, it's so fun to say that. Although it wasn't really caution-free. It was wreck-free. The wreck-free first stage. Elliott held on to the lead to start stage 2 and led until the green flag pit stops. They had a jack issue on the left side, which cost him the lead. Gave it to Christopher Bell as the pit cycle completed. Bell went on to win that caution-free second stage. Bell won the race off of pit road with Chase Elliott second. They were battling side by side on the restart, and Bell spun out all on his own, well about to take the lead. He was just about right to that point, and must have been air on the quarter panel. These things are so aero dependent that Bell spun it. Odd to see from a dirt guy. There's a yellow flag for it, but nobody hit him, and he didn't hit anything. So that was kind of crazy. So Chase Elliott led the restart and led until green flag pit stops. Then a short rain shower brought out the yellow. It's only about 10-minute break or so, you say?
Yeah, they didn't have to go red. They just ran a few laps under caution and got back on.
So restarting after that brief shower, Denny Hamlin grabbed the lead and led until there were 17 laps to go when the harder rains came. Ross Chastain crashed right before they threw the yellow for the rain, so I don't know if it was bad timing with the rain hitting or if something broke, because he hit the wall right before the yellow flag came out, which quickly became a red flag because it was a downpour. It delayed the race for about an hour. I figured they were just going to call it at some point. It surprised the gosh darn heck out of me that they went back racing, but they did. Bunch of cars from about 8th place back pitted for tires, but the leaders stayed out. Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell restarted on the front row. Christopher Bell spun himself out again while running side by side for the lead. This time Noah Gragson and William Byron crashed, avoiding him, which sucked for them, but he was yet again unscathed. So we ended up with a green-white checkered. Denny Hamlin grabbed the lead, but there was some argy-bargy necessitating a yellow. I don't remember who. I just remember everybody got stupid because it was a restart. So then we had green-white checker number 2. Restart. Denny Hamlin was on old tires. Briscoe was on newer tires on the front row. So we all knew Briscoe was going to win. But the tires didn't matter. And Denny Hamlin won the race. Chase Briscoe had nothing for him. And Denny Hamlin beat your favorite driver.
You know, I had to watch like 70 laps of this race.
Because I fell asleep?
Yeah, I gotta say, I didn't think it was a very good race. It's whatever aero package they've got with this car that it's just really hard for them to actually race. Because Hamlin was on old tires and nobody could pass him. Bell couldn't, and then Briscoe couldn't. I just didn't like that. It was pretty boring, and I was going to say it was so boring you fell asleep.
I fell asleep.
That's why I had to watch part of it.
I'm getting old. I take naps once in a while, I guess. And that's all we've got. There wasn't a lot going on last weekend. So this coming week, we've got Formula One back from summer vacation at Belgium, right?
Yes, at the circuit Spa-Francorchamps. And it is also a sprint race. Which is going to be interesting because, you know, it is the largest track on the calendar. Lap times are like 1:54 or something like that. And it rains a lot in Belgium.
It was scheduled. It is. It's scheduled to rain all weekend in Belgium. So it could be interesting. Xfinity and Cup are back at the Brickyard. The trucks are back after their month-long break. They are at Indy Raceway Park. I guess they're not cool enough to run at the Brickyard. And IndyCar will be at Laguna Seca. That's in California, right?
Yeah.
Is that close to Mexico?
No, I think it's pretty far north.
It sounds kind of Mexican, so that's why I asked.
Well, it just means dry lagoon because it's very dry there.
What's it? What language does it mean dry lagoon in?
Spanish.
Oh, okay. See, so I wasn't that far off. You got anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Look at that. Under 20 minutes. And we'll talk to you next week.